Good day, Ghana. You are tuned into the issues with me, Irbad Ibrahim. What started as whispers of allegations of corruption within the Ghana Football Association turned into an avalanche when a whole nation was shocked by revelations of number 12. Today we do a critical analysis of ANAS's expose and look at the future of football administration in the Republic of Ghana. And we are so privileged to have in the studio pundits in this area. Senior sports journalist and the one in charge of GVC Sports and radio section, Mr. George Lati. Thanks for making time.
Thank you too.
And also Emmanuel Edujemfi, a sports journalist. Gentlemen, I'll take your initial comments, then we take an insight from the expose. George, you've been an enthusiast for decades. Did yesterday's revelations come to you as a surprise at all?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrad. I really was very surprised as to what I saw yesterday. I would like to, paint it this way as the dark side of Ghana football being stripped naked as to what happened yesterday. And I'd like to borrow the words of our former president, Mr. John Ajugun Kufuor, and Mr. Mahama, as in one saying is evil, one saying very sad. It's evil and sad. From what I saw, you could clearly see that we are not safe when it comes to football if the same people, are maintained over there. I believe it is time we crack the whip.
But then, you've been to every nook and cranny of football administration. I believe you and your colleagues normally have conversations at pubs. Was it a thunderbolt? Or you expected this?
Some I did expect, some I didn't. What I did expect was just small, but then what I didn't expect was huge. As in, money is being taken, or let me say, money is exchanging hands, and of course, people promising to change complexion of games. It's very sad when we say that, as you rightly said, sit in pubs or probably meet friends, and then we do arguments concerning Hearts, Kotoko, let me say, Gambia versus Nigeria, and then not knowing the matches have been played already. It's very sad as to how you pay money and then go to support your favorite teams, and then you realize, or probably knowing that the matches have been played. Now on this very note, I'd like to say a big thank you or kudos to my former boss, Honorable Nilanti Vanderpoy, who challenged things at the FA during his tenure in office. But what happened? People thought he was trying to push things the negative way. He was trying to do this, he was trying to do that. He was criticized a lot. But then yesterday, I believe what he started way back when he was in office during the tenure of President John Mahama, where he couldn't finish because of the change of government. I believe those things have really been exposed by ANAS. So I would like to say a big thank you to Nilanti Vanderpoy, at least for starting something. I'm really proud of him. And
in due course, I believe we will discuss the reforms that need to happen within the GFA. Emmanuel Edujemfi, you've not been doing this as long as George has, but then as a young and budding, journalist, what do you make of the revelations you've been, smashed with in the past 24 hours or so?
It was shocking and was startling. I mean, we all knew along the line that something was not right with our football administration and our football in general, but least did we expect that it had gotten this bad. I knew ahead of time. We've seen your snippets of the videos being circulated around, but we didn't know into detail exactly what had happened. And so I was really surprised myself. Around the same time yesterday, we were at the Accra International Conference Center and we were all expecting to see something, but little did we know it was into this detailed manner. And so I had a lot of colleagues that I sat with at the conference center, and everybody was amazed at the kind of rot we have in our system. And I think we've come to a point where we need to tell ourselves that enough is enough. We need to move to a different direction if we want to see our football develop. Ghana is a football loving nation, and so it has taken everybody by surprise, and we've seen people who ordinarily wouldn't even talk about football now talking about football, obviously because of the decay, the level of decay in our football administration. George talked about some other personalities who were trying to fight the system, and they were tagged as enemies of football administration, and I think those who didn't agree with them would now sit down and reassess whatever they thought and said about them.
Let me take you off your comfort zone. There's a consternation of sports journalists in this country. There are more sports programs than there are any other programs apart from political ones. Where have you guys been? Or is it that a wedge has been driven between or amongst sports journalists, and you have felt your allegiance to certain administrators? You've not been criticizing them all these years.
For journalists, I'll be blunt as ever. It is divided. You know, there are certain journalists who owe their allegiance to the administration. They owe their allegiance to the administration. Whatever they do, whether right or wrong, they say it in a positive light.
And what is the motivation? Money?
Well, you can't say. Some others also feel it is not about, you know, any financial inducement. But when you look at it critically, there's nothing to it than maybe financial inducement and maybe the opportunity to travel with the team anytime that the opportunity avails itself. Because there are a lot of people, if you talk about the FA, you never have an opportunity to travel with the FA or any of the national teams when they are traveling. We have personalities, sports journalists, who get the opportunity to travel every now and then, anytime that any football, you know, any of the football teams are traveling outside the country. So for some, it is an allegiance, and so they see the FA in that light, and so they would always defend them. And the others who also feel that maybe something is not right, so let's say it, as it is, and we need to, you know, paint it with the right brush in order to get the right colors. And we've gotten to a point where, you know, we need to, as I indicated earlier, we need to sit down as a country to tell ourselves that enough is enough, and we need to move into the right direction. It has happened to Nigeria before. They were banned, and then they came back very, very stronger.
It is said leadership is cause and all other things are effects. We'll go for a quick, you know, excerpt of a BBC coverage of the Anas expose featuring Mr. Kwesi Antechi. Stick and stay with us.
Officiating at the World Cup this month. These are just a few clips of hours of secret filming gathered over the past 2 years by controversial Ghanaian journalist Anas Aremeyaw Anas.
When this story comes, there's going to be a lot of trouble.
His footage, exclusive to BBC Africa Eye, appears to show dozens of referees taking cash before games in both domestic and international tournaments, and top officials also taking gifts. Ghanaians have been waiting for this investigation to blow for weeks.
Why the tension is so high? It's football and it's Ghana, and the people have cried for far too long.
With the World Cup just around the corner, a storm is about to be unleashed. The scale of Anas's investigation is huge. Over 100 football officials and their bosses took cash from undercover reporters, and over 150 separate payments in total. These money transfers occurred before Ghanaian Premier League, Champions League, and major international games. Anas has never revealed his true identity. Some are very critical of his journalistic methods, in particular, the way he conducts his secret filming.
What actually happens is that you are being entrapped into something that you have least idea about. And I think that it really hurts people.
Anas rejects the idea that his methods amount to enticement, saying those that took the money were not forced to do so. With football loved deeply across Ghana, many people have been rallying in support of his latest investigation, both on social media and over the radio waves.
Football is a very beautiful game, and we're all looking forward to this video from Anas, and we just hope that they will clean our system. We think that things must change.
Anas's secret filming includes explosive material surrounding the WAFU tournament in 2017, the largest international competition in the region. Referees took cash from Anas's men, who posed as Ghanaian fans before numerous games, including on one occasion just hours before a match between Ghana and Mali. Match official Ebrima Jallo of Gambia was among those filmed. He took $500 and seemed to imply this kind of activity is common in the international game.
matter of bribery or the way I think trying to bribe me or try to bribe me. It's not that important. What is important, they are the relationship.
Jallow told the BBC he had never been given any money to fix a match. He denied wrongdoing. It's against the rules of FIFA and the Ghanaian Football Association for referees or officials involved with the game to take any cash gifts. Anasi's investigation went beyond regional football and targeted a major international referee, Rangi Marua of Kenya, who was due to be running the line as an assistant referee at the World Cup in Russia. He was approached by an undercover journalist posing as a Ghanaian football official during the African Nations Championship. Marua, sitting in a hotel room, took $600 in cash.
I know that no, this is, thank you for the gift, but this is what is important is that friendship, getting to know each other.
FIFA says Marua has resigned from the World Cup refereeing team. He told the BBC he denied any wrongdoing. Ultimately, the hundreds of dollars given to referees was relatively small compared with what Anasi's undercover team handed to the most important official they targeted, Kwesi Nyantakyi, the president of Ghanaian football and a major figure in football in Africa, took a gift of $65,000 from Anasi's reporters, believing they were meeting to discuss the prospects of a sponsorship deal.
Is that you even have something here for shopping for now?
Oh, okay.
Shopping for now.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Nyantakyi sits on FIFA's council and was appointed by the executive committee, one of the highest bodies in football. It is against the rules of FIFA to take any gifts of cash. Nyantakyi remains in his position as head of GFA and did not respond to a BBC request for comment. FIFA told the BBC they were investigating the allegations. They said it was a priority for FIFA to protect the integrity of its competitions. What will this investigation mean for the officials Anas filmed and the tournaments he focused on? The future of West African football is now hanging in the balance.
Welcome back. Just gone by was this harrowing and heart-wrenching footage of highly respectable people taking all forms of bribes. George, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi is quite a reputable person. Why would he fall for such a meager bait, considering the laurels he has internationally?
Well, someone or somebody may ask who doesn't like or who doesn't want money. We all want money, we all like money. But it depends on how you make money, it depends on where you get it from, it depends on who gives it to you. Kwesi Nyantakyi, you could clearly see that he was trapped, or he was baited to pick the money, as in trying to he went from football to the political way, and it was a whole lot. He got himself entangled with the so-called sheikhs, not knowing they were men from the Tiger Eye. Now you as you rightly as you rightly asked, why would Nyantakyi stoop so low in taking that money? But well, he thought probably it was something that was being given to him for a marvelous work yet to be done. He took that money, and then surprisingly, as Edu was telling me, he started dancing and singing. Well, although that one hasn't been played yet, but it's just unfortunate. And you could clearly, my problem with Nyantakyi was that he spoke, or let me say, he talked a lot, as in boosting, as in he's saying he's got the president and the vice in his pocket. He can do this, he can do that. If you Google his name, he's all over the place. He spoke a lot, but people might say, well, Nyantakyi, excuse me, doesn't drink. I don't think he takes tramadol. I don't think he does. But seeing that money makes you do so many and so much.
No, but if 65,000 were thrown before a new employee of GBC, we would understand. But these are people exposed to millions of dollars, so to speak. So why would such a pittance cause you to go overboard?
I just can't tell from where I'm sitting now. I believe the answer to me remains very few. But you know, all said and done is money, and as I stated earlier on, everybody loves money. But as you said, a person of a Nyantichi's repute shouldn't have stooped so low in taking that sum of money, $68,000 or $65,000. You know, it's to some of us, as you said, is money, but to him, well, he's seen millions, he's seen millions and millions of dollars over and over again. Picking it was another problem. I just don't know why, as in why Nyantichi should do that.
Judge, do people just hate Nyantichi?
I might say yes, I might
because
say
some
no.
people are gloating and rejoicing.
Definitely, definitely. I know Nyantichi has been very long when it comes to, sitting on the FHA, GFA chair, I should put it that way. And, people have, been close to Nyantichi. Others have been that close and then they've fallen apart with Nyantichi. Most of them know his dealings. Most don't know. Some of us might love to, exaggerate. Some might be telling us the truth. But I know Nyantichi being, a person as myself and you, everybody has people who likes them and people who hates them. But I think on this occasion, I could see clearly that, those who hate Nyantichi are way above 95%.
Okay. This was a man who took us for a maiden edition in the World Cup and some 2 subsequent ones after that on 3 different occasions. Why would love and affection transmogrify into hate so fast?
Well, for some, he's been in the saddle for far too long. Nyantichi became the president of the Ghana FA in 2005, and till date, it is still not clear whether he will still be vying for another opportunity to be in the saddle or not. And again, consecutively, we had qualified for the World Cup. 2006 in Germany, 2010 in South Africa, 2014 in Brazil. Now Ghana couldn't qualify for the 2018 Russia World Cup. And now our domestic football keeps dwindling. The fortunes of Ghana domestic football keeps dwindling. When was the last time Hearts of Folk, Asante Kotoko or any other club, for instance, managed to get to the finals of any African club competition? And so it tells you clearly that our football is not at the level that everybody expects it to be. And so if you have been able to qualify us for the World Cup, yes, you've done a marvelous job. But at this material point in time, some others feel that he's not the right man for the job because he's lacking ideas, so to speak. There's lack of attendance at our various stadia, infrastructure, even though it is not in his remit to make sure we have adequate infrastructure. But there are very little things that he is able to do. FIFA always give the FA an amount of money to develop grassroots football. Are we seeing that here in Ghana? So it tells you that clearly he's lacking ideas for football development in the country. Maybe the Black Stars might be doing well. Maybe the other national teams might be doing well. Women's football, the various women football teams are doing pretty well. But when we talk about domestic football, we are not doing well. And that is the suggestion that you've done enough. So leave when the applause is loudest. But Nyantichi still wants to be in the seat. And that is the problem. Power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is a saying that we've known from time. And so if you've been the chairman for all this while, and don't forget, he's the longest reigning FA president in the history of Ghana. Even the Ohinijans, even the Nyamites, everybody came and did his own. And so if you've been able to do your own, gentlemen, leave when the time is right. And for me, I was thinking that 2019 was going to be his last year, but it is clear, it is evident that he's not ready to leave. And especially just before he comes, especially at a point when he's the first vice president of CAF. He's a FIFA Executive Council member. So if you've been able to get all these positions, why do you still want to remain as the FA president? Whereas you know that clearly you are lacking ideas.
I'll throw this question to both of you, George. Some have said this is a British conspiracy to do him in because he was quite instrumental in Russia's bid to host this year's World Cup and in Qatar's bid in 2022. And the UK wanted to do a sequel after the Olympics by hosting a major World Cup. And Telegraph was hounding him. He even, threatened to take legal action against the Telegraph in the UK. And now this collaboration with a local investigative journalist to punch the final nail into his career coffin, so to speak. Can't you read conspiracy in between the lines?
I had the same argument this morning with a friend of mine, a journalist friend of mine. And what he said, or what he told me, was that I shouldn't be brainwashed. As in, he trying to, imply that the British has something to do with this very unfortunate incident. Well, one, if you look at it, it depends on the angle at which you're looking at it from.
Yes,
from one angle, you might say there is something, as in a conspiracy somewhere. From the other angle, you might also say there is nothing, as in such a thing. I think the only thing that I could, pinpoint is that these guys were trying to at least expose the rot in Ghana football, because this is not the first time here in Africa. It has been, done over and over again by respective heads of our respective, country football federations. And to me, I don't see any conspiracy. I think it's all about, trying to expose the dark side of Ghana football, what goes on, and of course, what the fans and, including ourselves, the stakeholders, have been crying for.
Because these images will haunt him for the rest of his life. Sepp Blatter was investigated and accused of corruption. Not a single video came out. Why African leaders? Why?
Well, that's what I said earlier on. It depends on the angle you're trying to look at it from. I just wouldn't catch it on that. Let me say, look at it from that angle. I basically want to see the rot in our football system being eradicated, and I think that is what has happened. So I think we should sit back and then rethink about it again, and then see as to what to do so that we wouldn't be having future occurrences, because it is becoming too much. It is virtually becoming too much, or if I should put it that way, it is just too much.
Okay, Emmanuel, this is the closest a Ghanaian has come to heading CAF. So why this, at this 11th hour, while our man is climbing up the ladder, don't you read conspiracy in between the lines?
I think everybody would have loved to have a Ghanaian head CAF. I mean, it would have been very significant. We saw Kofi Annan when he headed the UN, and the pride it brought to every Ghanaian around the world. So it would be very surprising to me that any Ghanaian would object to Nyan Techi being the CAF president. But then again, you look at the man who wants to occupy that position, and you look at his qualities, and even if he's able to fit that position, I'm not questioning his integrity. I'm not questioning his ability to do the job. But maybe I wouldn't want to go into a little bit politics in football, but in terms of conspiracy, why are those asking the questions, why are they asking these questions at this point in time? When Anas investigated the Children's Home saga, when he went to the psychiatric hospital, it was only when he started the job with the judges, and this particular one, that is when people are asking about conspiration in all of these jobs that he is doing. We need to weed out greedy people from our society. People are on drugs, tramadol, this issue with tramadol. We are not able to help the youth because we are always told that the country doesn't have enough resources. So if the little resources that we have, some people greedily are taking it for their personal use and for their family's comfort, and someone would want to help us stamp out or weed out all those people, and you tell me it is a conspiracy, it will be very difficult for me to accept. And again, he was not forced to take the money. I've heard people saying, using the word entrapment and baiting and all of that. He was not forced to take the money. The money was put on the table, and he picked those monies himself. And so it will be very difficult for me to accept the fact that he was entrapped. I find it difficult to accept that. And we were talking about the issue of Telegraph. This happened in the year 2014. He should have taken a cue from this particular one, because it has happened to him before, and he managed to some way somehow evade the laws of justice. Understand? And so it is being shown again. Yes. So if you are picking the money from a table, how is it entrapment? How is it baiting? It is very difficult for me to accept this one, even though I would have loved Nyan Techi to I don't know how he's going to come out of this one. Maybe, hopefully, he's going to come out of this, and if you're able to ascend to the CAF presidency, I will appreciate that. But yes,
Ima did a little curtain raiser about the state of football in Ghana. We'll go into that. But the final tranche of questions on the expose. Referees taking 500 Ghana, 700 Ghana, 1,000 Ghana. Doesn't it boil down to poor remuneration? How is the salary structure for referees?
Well, from where we're sitting at the moment, I can't tell, the salary structure.
Are they held on retainer basis? So that at the end of the month, you know that you take 500
is the salary.
No, 500 that is woefully inadequate.
Okay, so before George comes in, this is not a job. They always tell us it is a hobby. Almost all the referees in Ghana here,
they have their own occupation.
They have their own occupation. We have policemen. We have teachers.
So refereeing is not a full-time job.
It is not a full-time job. Some of them caught in this web are immigration officials. Joseph Lamte, the man who brought us shame from South Africa when South Africa played against Senegal, is an immigration officer. And so they have their jobs that they're doing. So they tell us this is a hobby. So if something is a hobby, we understand, and I admit that they are not paid on time. But if you know the hobby that you are engaged in will not pay you promptly, and so you're going to have difficulties, who's asking you to stay in? It is as simple as that. So you don't get in and tell us you are not paid on time, or probably the money is not adequate enough, and so you're going to indulge in any negative activities to get your money. And quite sadly, they take from here and they take from there to balance the books. They take from team A and take from team B, and most of the time the games end in draws. That is what mostly happens.
You see them awarding penalties at both ends.
It happens, and so we've gotten to a point where they have to educate themselves that if I can't hold myself responsible enough to be fair enough to those watching football, because people spend money, people leave their jobs to go to the various stadiums to watch football, and you have the results in your pocket. Are you being fair to the people? Are you being fair to the people who put in their money, for these clubs?
Ima is quite passionate about this.
It's getting very much now.
Would you hold brief for them because of poor remuneration?
No, I wouldn't one bit. Just like as Emmanuel said, it's a passion. If you know it doesn't satisfy you, you're not getting much out of it, then you better quit, because we can put our lives on the line. Let's cast our mind back to what happened way back in 2001, the May 9th, whatever, that unfortunate incident that happened on the 9th of May 2001. It all boils down to refereeing. Here is a referee who goes there and pick money from Hearts, pick money from Kumasi and Santiago, and then try to balance the sheet. Then it becomes something else. So if you know you are not being paid well, is a passion, just quit. And then those who have that passion, those who can make do with the 500 Ghana is paid to them. I mean,
no, but 500 Ghana, that is too small.
It's a passion,
George. It's not a consistent thing. It's not like midweek, weekend, every week you have some 2 matches to officiate. Maybe it comes once in a quarter.
So do you think when they are giving about, let's say, 10,000 Ghana cedis to solve the problem,
they just have to be paid well?
Some men are very bad. Whatever you do, they'll bend the rules far away. So I don't think that should be used as a measuring rod for them to be taking monies.
Okay, and hold your peace, George. Even though I didn't announce the WhatsApp line, we have a deluge coming, 055 61034. But we have on the phone former GFA President Nana Brubatla. Nana, thanks for making time.
Good evening, good afternoon.
Okay. And Nana, you've headed the GFA before. Seeing the grisly footage of your successor, one of them, take money from a table and feeling so exhilarated, does it come to you as a surprise? And is this the culture that underpins heading the GFA?
I can emphatically say that it's not. But I also say that it's most unfortunate. And we both have it.
Many Ghanaians in the aftermath of this video have been a bit insensitive, all guns blazing and criticizing Yan Teacher. What do you know about the man and his integrity, so to speak?
Well, I have known him in football circles. I'll be very briefly when I was the president of the FA. He represented the club, and he was on the League Class Association of Ghana. Then when he became the president, he wrote me a letter, and now if I could.
Nana, can you speak up a bit so you'll be audible enough, sir?
When he became the president of the FA, he wrote a letter to me asking if I could get on it and the sponsorship committee. I served on it a while, and for some reason I wrote to say I would quit. And we've known each other from afar. That's what. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Nana, Nana, I want to ask you this question. An analogy has been drawn. If you attended an international conference and after a series of meetings you retired into your hotel room and a voluptuous model was thrown at you and you ended up sleeping with her, would it be fair for people to judge you as a serial womanizer, or it could have been a blip you just suffered?
I've not gone through that before. I have not experienced it, and I will not do it. So that's my answer.
Nana, in your time, how were things?
Such as?
Okay. In terms of the kind of temptation and the monetization of football, so to speak.
Oh, I think in every enterprise there is temptation. I mean, I recall that there was one day I was sitting in my office at the FA when the late Zach Bentum just walked. You know, I don't know if you know him. He was the first Ghanaian managing director of BP, and then he also became the first chairman of the PLB. And he walked straight to me and said, "Nana, can you believe this? This guy, you know," he mentioned the club chairman's name, came and threw money in front of him because I think his club had done something which they were investigating. And he was fuming with anger. So, yes, we had people of integrity who would not do that. But of course, others too would venture.
Personally, were you ever tempted with
it was unfair to say that everybody is like that.
But could it be a one-off that Yantechi all these years has resisted overtures like this, but on this particular one, he just fell?
I don't think I'm competent enough to answer that question. I think, in fairness, the question should be directed at him, not me.
Okay, let's make a little progress. Now that the revelations have been made, people are angry and are calling for reforms. What quick fixes would you propose? Some 2-3 steps we need to take as a country to cleanse the football administration in Ghana?
Well, I've always held a view which I have not minced words on. I've said it openly in fora where the football fraternity had been there. I'm not often, with them because I've been a long while since I stepped aside, but once in a while when I find opportunity. And I've said that people generally think that when you hold on to something, a position, it gives authority and power. But when you, it shows courage. When you let go, it shows courage. And Bodamboma, and I believe in that you do not overstay your in any position.
So would you, if you were to whisper some words of advice and wisdom to your junior-most colleague, would you ask Ian Techi to step aside at this opportune time?
Well, these are words of wisdom. I said that we tend to think that when you hold on to something, it shows authority and power. But it takes courage to let go.
So Ian Techi should step aside.
It takes courage to let go.
So Mr. Ian Techi should step aside.
I said words of wisdom.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your being coy. Former GFA President Nana Brubakla, thank you for making time.
It's my pleasure.
Gentlemen, you heard the senior colleague. It hurts when a position you sacrificed so much to uphold is ridiculed in our contemporary times.
You know, Nana wisely said something, and it simply means you need to resign at this point in time. You know, he didn't say it bluntly, but then you need to resign from the things that he said so far. You could pick it word from word, or let me say phrase by phrase, that you need to resign. He even said something in Chi that in Suche or Tuamwa something that in
Suche Tuamwa.
That's I think you heard him say it.
Yeah.
So you just can't hold on for long. I think it's about time Nantiti steps aside, says goodbye to this whole thing. He's been there for a very long time, and you know Ghanaians are clamoring for a change. I think he should listen to the voice of the masses and then step aside. It's as simple as that.
Ima, would you call for an end to the era of Ian Techi now?
I think he should be man enough to leave at this point in time. Even the president of the country has 2 4-year terms, maximum 8 years. So if the biggest job in the country, which I feel is the president, being the president of the country, is even allotted 2 4-year terms, maximum 8 years, then so it tells you that after 8 years, there's very little you can do. So you clearly leave. And at this point that we're having all these issues.
You've never heard you don't change a winning team. He's taking you to the World Cup 3 times.
It doesn't apply in all circumstances. And in football administration, I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, the longer you stay, the more you're able to do things right. Look at what happened to Issa Hayatou. He had been president of CAF since the late 80s. But what happened to him? He decided not to leave the scene, and he was pushed out under humiliating circumstances. It also happened to Sepp Blatter, as we earlier talked about. And so I've said it earlier, leave when the applause is loudest. You don't leave, or you don't stay on to be pushed out at this point in time. And I think at this point there's very little he can do. And information I'm even gathering is that even if he refuses to step down from FIFA and from CAF, he's going to be sacked anyway, because with all this evidence that we are being shown, and tonight I understand the BBC will also show their own, with all this video evidence. These are not pictures that someone can say it has been doctored. These are video evidence that we've been shown. It is very difficult for him to get himself out of this web. It will be very, very difficult.
We go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, I ask, what are the options available to the political leaders of this country to cleanse us of this international embarrassment? Stick and stay with us. Come back. We are still in the studio with George Latte.
Yeah.
And a senior, sports journalist, and also Emmanuel Edu-Gyamfi.
That's right.
And we will make a little progress, but a few messages. Someone says, I can't afford to miss this show. I always learn something new. I hope it continues. This came from Asidu Mercy Biriwa from Cape Coast. And this is a very big disgrace to Ghana and Africa as a whole. This came from Hector. As George Free stated, Ian Techi is very greedy, selfish, crooked, and wicked. He recently married an adolescent, so he needs more money to chill with the new wife. This came from Kwame Kumase. It says, Anas from Ashaiman. Nyantakyi coming in as a GFA president was massive blessing to Ghana's sports, and same as under his regime, too much corruption and bribery. It is a shame. And please, I want to know whether Mr. Anas's findings, such as the amounts of money given, what is government going to pay for all the amounts of money he gave away? Is a host of the someone asked a question, and the answer to your question is no. And this one says, I learned GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi has resigned from the FIFA committee. How true is that? That has been flatly debunked by a spokesperson of the association. And please, can you explain the difference between a bribe and a gift for us ordinary citizens to understand? This came from Kindles in Kaswa. And there are so many other messages. We'll try our best to read as many of them as possible. And George, when all is said, what gets done? But before then, I would like to ask you what you think about the methodology adopted by Tiger Eye.
This big question has come under so much scrutiny, as in people saying the method that Anas and his team have been using is not right, as in trying to bait people, trying to induce people into taking monies. But on the other hand, Anas at one of his visits to, I think, the BBC or somewhere else, he stated categorically that the money is being used, as people say, bait or induce the characters involved. He is not forced anyone. They don't force anyone to accept the money. As Edu rightly said earlier on, the monies were put on the table, and money will be dangled before you. And if really you think it is that heavy, or you think you want to take it, then you take it. So I don't think what he is using, or the type of the type of journalism that he's doing has got something negative around it. I believe it's a different style. It's a different thing altogether. And we should sit and then rethink about some of the things that we say concerning the style that he's using. To me, I think he's right, because he never forced anyone, or he's never forced you to pick the money. He puts it in front of you, and when you think it is very good, or let me say mouth-watering, you pick it. So I personally do not have any problem as to his style, the style he's using at the moment.
Okay, you may join the conversation via phone. The number to call is 0302 786571. 786571. You bring the area code 0302. Edu Jemfi, you did a little curtain raiser. How bad is the state of football at all levels in Ghana currently?
Very, very terrible. But probably to touch a little briefly on the question you posed to George Latte, methodology. Even the sitting president has said in the past that he was always going to use the Anas principle to fight corruption. That was before the 2016 election. That was what Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo said in some times past. The FA president himself, Kwesi Nyantakyi, has also said in the past that he was always also going to use the Anas principle to fight corruption, that he was going to engage Anas Aremiyaw Anas to fight corruption in Ghana football. He has said in the past, this is what he said, that he was going to use the Anas principle to fight football corruption.
Okay, there's a caller, Baba from Keshe State. Sorry for cutting in. Hello, Baba. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're very happy to have this video. Mr. Nyantakyi always said that we should bring evidence. We, the ordinary people, we don't have any evidence, but the time has come for him. His cup has full up. If you could remember, this guy, Eric Bequin, they called him to come and play a Black Star. They told him to pay some sort of money, and Eric Bequin said that Eric Bequin, speaking in local language, need to that money. Baba Mando complained about this GFA, but Ghanaians, we are not used to listen. This is the time that has come.
Okay, thank you so much, Baba from Teshu. We appreciate it.
Under 17.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so Edu Jemfi.
Okay, so on the level of decay in our system, I think we've sunk very low. And for a football administrator, an executive committee member, the highest decision-making football body in the country to take as low as 300 Ghana cedis. It tells you the level of decay in our system. She is the only representative, when we talk about women, on the executive committee. And she was seen in the video taking 300 cedis to manipulate the outcome of a game. So if we have all this happening, a referee can happily tell an undercover agent that he's a supporter of a particular club, and he's always asking the players of that club to go into the opponent's 18-yard box so that he awards a penalty, a dubious one of course. Then it tells you how deplorable our football has been or is right now.
Okay.
And so it's quite pathetic.
And what about lower level football? I'm told they're up to 8 different clubs. The amputees have one, there's Black Meteor, a host of them. Aren't we concentrating too much on the senior team, the Black Stars? What is the condition of the other football federations?
It's very bad over there, very tiring. As we stated earlier on in the program, FIFA, doles out money for all of these grassroots or those below the national teams to be taken care of. But you ask yourself, where does the money go to? That is number one. From where we sit in, the answer remains very few. We can't say or tell where the money goes to. So those who are lodged down there suffer a lot.
We have Anthony from Tema. Right, okay. Sorry about that. Hi, Anthony. Hello, Anthony?
Yeah, please. Hello.
Yeah, thanks for making time. What's your point?
You have watched the video and he was not caught, and he's a secret criminal. Now I don't know the reason he's still on. He has not resigned yet. So you people support, as people can do something for him to be forced to resign.
Okay, thank you, but please be decorous. Views shared by viewers entirely theirs and not those of GTV. Okay, so let's wrap up on the condition and the way forward, the condition of the other federations.
As I said earlier on, FIFA, as we all know, those are money for those down there to be taken care of. But we don't know where the money is going to, whether it is given to them or not. From where we sit in, I can't tell. And what we have to do for we not to see this thing again occurring in the near future is that I believe we have to put competent men and women in place. But you ask yourself, how do you know whether A or B is competent? We really must search. We really must do that. Put the right people in there. Put the people who virtually you can corrupt. At least we had 2 officials on the GFA who failed to take up the money. So collect bribes here and there. We can find men of their repute and then put them in there and then see if we can work around them and then make things very easy.
It's not all doom and gloom. There are some good examples in the FA.
Of course, we have some men of honor in the FA. As I said, Lawyer Kwekwe, he's the management committee chairman of the Black Stars.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Gideon from the Upper East. Giddy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, the floor is yours, Gideon.
I think Nyanteji just have to resign. This is the time that they will know that Sumutari and Calvin Prince Watson, they were not fighting the GFA presidents. I mean, they were not disrespecting them. There is a corruption. I'm even confused. I can't even talk.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gideon from the Upper West. Yeah.
And so we have some men of honor in the FA. It is not all gloomy. We talk, even at the executive committee level, we have 20. It is a membership of 22, and some of them refuse to take bribes. And of course, some of them also, as seen in the video, they took money. For instance, the Eastern Regional RFA boss took money. The Greater Accra RFA boss also took money. The Northern Regional RFA boss was with
but the Greater Accra rep says he may press charges.
Yes. Okay, so as I said in the video, we saw him take money. We saw him take money. If it wasn't bribe, he wasn't the one, or it wasn't a bribe. Which is which? Okay, so maybe we are going to subject all these to strict, proof, and they are going to be hauled before the law courts to answer. And
we have Dramani from Tamale. Dramani, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Dramani, what is in your chest?
It's very nice to use Ghana and Africa. These are people who are not supposed to handle certain positions. So I would say you could step down honorably.
Okay, thank you so much. Gentlemen, we are beginning to run out of time. Education fee. I don't know whether you'll be comfortable talking about this. And the debate has been overstretched, and then some key political figures have been mentioned. And what do you make of those, allegations, so to speak?
It will be very difficult for me
So you think it's not important to politicize the issue? Let's keep it football and take away the politics.
Yes. And again, I have something here. The FA president, when he met the so-called sheikhs in wherever they met, decided he was going to form an agency for them to take between 20 and 25%.
Can we take the last caller? Abubakar from Mamobi here in Accra. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to thank you guys very, very well. The entire journalists in Ghana, you guys are doing a human job, and I'm really happy. Because each time I sit down on the screen to watch discussion concerning sports or any other issue, you guys are doing very well. You should keep it up.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your call. You came with some documents.
Okay, so what it is that an agency is usually formed anytime the FA gets a sponsorship deal. And as per the FA statutes, Article 15 states that officials are forbidden from accepting commission or promises of such commission for negotiating deals of any kind while performing duties unless the presiding body has expressly permitted them to do so. But in this video that we saw, Kwesi Nyantakyi told Abdullahi, the Northern Regional Referee Chairman, that they're going to form an agency to take between 20 and 25% of the agency fee for the deal that was coming as sponsorship for Ghana football. And so we know the sort of person we are dealing with.
So do you think Xylophone Cash should scrap his contract or deal with the
I wouldn't say the gentleman should scrap his deal, but it should be reviewed, and then let's see where I believe there are probably some things here. And the agency has just pointed out something spectacular, as in forming your own company and then taking the 25 or 20%. So that Xylophone deal should be reviewed. It shouldn't be scrapped, because if it's scrapped, football teams really will suffer, because under present conditions without sponsorship it's very difficult.
And we don't even know how much is in the deal.
It should be reviewed.
How much is $10 million?
We are not told. He tells us there's a clause in it which forbids them to announce. This $10 million we are talking about are just speculation.
Forbids.
Yes, forbids the FA and Xylophone Media to announce the amount of money for the sponsorship.
Should His Excellency show Nyantakyi the exit, so we take 2 years of suspension to restructure the GFA? I want a yes or no answer.
It's a very difficult question, but I will hit my chest very hard and say yes.
His Excellency should start.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
But you called for his resignation. What is
yes, but I told you there are a lot of honorable men also in the association who can step up to take or to continue where Nyantakyi, if he decides to leave the mantle, where he will leave off. If we are struck with this banned by FIFA, I don't know for how long it's going to be, and for how smart we're going to be about this.
In the sub-region, Nigeria.
You cited
Nigeria. I cited Nigeria, but I cited it as an example. I didn't mean we should also. But I said that they have gone through and they are back strong.
I personally think that's the right way.
Yes, but the president is a lawyer, so I don't think he's going to wade into all those. But maybe honorably, he can advise Nyantakyi to step down for someone else to continue, but not to not to sack everybody at the FA for us to incur the wrath of FIFA.
Okay, all too soon we've come to the end of another interesting edition of The Issues. We've been privileged to have had in the studio senior sports journalist and head of radio sports at GBC, Mr. George Lartey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
And he was ably assisted by a very vociferous lieutenant, Emmanuel Edujemfi. Thank you so much for making time. Till we come your way next week, stay blessed and keep praying for Mother Ghana.